everybody. Welcome back to English for You. And we are back with day 2 of Making the Garden Minty Fresh. I'm Kat.
And I'm Darius.
And we are here on day 2, as I said. So we have Lisa, who has just gone to the gardening store and was looking for some advice on growing mint.
So Lisa, maybe she didn't know too much about plants. So she wanted to see how would this grow and what are the easy ways to do it. So the clerk tells her that mint is something that's very easy and can grow well, and you don't have to pay much attention to it.
Okay. But however, there are some kind of downsides to it. Like he says that its roots like to spread. So if you want it to not spread out and take over your garden, you should plant it in a container or inside some mesh.
And he also says that it doesn't need fertilizer. So it doesn't need anything to help it grow more. It will just grow well on its own with moist soil and partial shade. So you don't need to put it directly in the sun, just a little bit in the sun, a little bit not in the sun, and it will do just fine.
Okay. Yeah. So like maybe, in a place where shadows appear around your house or near your window, something like that. So what Lisa ends up deciding to get is some spearmint, which is that nice sweet kind of mint that you find in toothpaste and ice cream and gum and all of that sort of thing. So she got some spearmint seeds, she got some pots. She's going to go home and plant them now. So that's going to be our article today. Why don't we go ahead and take a look?
Let's find out.
Reading.
Making the garden minty fresh. Lisa is at home, preparing to plant the mint.
Zach, can you help me with these pots?
Sure, but what are they for?
We're going to grow mint. I can use it to make tea and salads. It goes well with all sorts of dishes.
How about mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Well, if you help me, I'll think about it.
Where do I put the pots?
Right here. The mint will get sunlight in the morning, but shade in the afternoon. Now it's time to plant the seeds.
Here's the trowel.
Okay. Make a little hole in the earth in each pot. We only need to put a couple of seeds in each one.
Like this?
That's perfect.
How often will we need to cut the leaves off?
We should harvest the leaves often. Harvesting actually helps mint grow. We should also prune it if we see flower buds developing.
Wow, Mom, you really have a green thumb.
They plant the mint seeds in the other pots.
All right, now Lisa has made her way home with her new spearmint seeds and pots, and now she's going to talk with her son, Zach, about it. So the article starts, Lisa's at home preparing to plant the mint.
Okay, so she's got everything out there, and it sounds like, well, Zach didn't go to the store with her, so he's not really sure what's going on yet. So she asks him, Zach, can you help me with these pots?
And he responds, sure, but what are they for?
I mean, yeah, of course, he doesn't know. Maybe she went to get some pots just to, I don't know, paint and put some rocks in
what
them.
Is this?
What are these weird little container things? And gosh, Mom, you're going a little crazy here. But no, of course, Lisa's not going crazy. She wants to plant some mint, and that's what she tells him. We're going to grow mint. I can use it to make tea and salads. And that's a great idea. I love mint tea. Mint tea is super great.
I definitely agree. It's something very nice to relax at the end of the day with.
Yeah, or have after dinner is kind of a dessert tea.
Very refreshing. So the article says, it goes well with all sorts of dishes. So we have the noun sort. We use sort, and that means that it refers to different types of things or a kind of something. And this also can be a verb, and when we sort something, that means we separate it from something else and put it with things that are maybe similar.
Oh, okay.
So an example sentence would be, the sorts of friends that he makes are always wild and crazy, meaning the kinds of friends or the type of people that he likes to hang around are usually wild and crazy.
Yeah. Well, some people are like that. They like to make all sorts of things. And I think if you say all sorts, I guess that means it goes with many different kinds of things. So all sorts of dishes means maybe you could use mint for just about anything you want.
Yep.
Right? So Zach has this idea as well. I think he's thinking about maybe something a little more sweet treat-like. He says, how about mint chocolate chip ice cream? I think, Zach's a kid. He has, ice cream on his mind.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, who doesn't love mint chocolate chip ice cream? I actually know some people who don't, but
Same.
I do. Yeah. So if we're talking about chocolate chips, this word chip is a noun, which is pretty useful for talking about this sort of thing. And it's a small piece that basically, if you have a big chunk of something or a big piece of something, you hit it with something hard or sharp, and you cut off little tiny pieces, and those are called chips. So like if you have a big block of wood and you hit it with a knife a bunch of times, you make wood chips, and those are good for like starting fires or barbecuing, something like that. Maybe if you're making a stone sculpture, you'll probably chip off stone and result in a bunch of stone chips. Of course, you probably heard this word in a different sort of way when talking about potato chips. And it's not as though you hit a potato with a knife and make these little chunks of it, but you do slice it into very, very, very thin pieces, and those are also called chips. Also, it comes as a verb. So if you say that you chip something, like maybe your phone falls on the ground and it's got a little piece taken out of it, your phone is now chipped. But in the case of chocolate, it's actually a little bit different because chocolate chips are usually not chipped off of a bigger piece of chocolate. They're made in like little tiny drops that are just by themselves. So like you find them in cookies, you find them in ice cream. Those are chocolate chips. So an example of this might be, my mother's homemade potato chips are the best. She cuts them thin and bakes them with different spices. That sounds delicious.
It really does. I love potato chips so much. I think like in the opposite of, well, not the opposite, but if something is a little bigger than a chip, then we usually call that like a chunk.
Yes, a
right?
chunk, yeah.
So like chocolate chunk cookies are definitely my favorite.
Oh, yeah. So chocolate chip cookies had like the little pieces of chocolate, and chocolate chunk cookies have the little bit bigger ones, right? Okay.
So, does anyone ever say potato chunks instead
potato
of potato
chunks.
chips?
I don't think we have those. Unless you slice it into maybe squares or something. Maybe that would be potato chunks.
I guess that's just regular potato. Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, no need for it.
Right.
So the article continues with Lisa saying, well, if you help me, I'll think about it. So now she's trying to get Zach to help her with it and say, okay, if you do this for me, then I'll do that for you.
Right, of course. Yeah, because, if he wants to make mint chocolate chip ice cream...
It has to grow.
Exactly. He has to grow the mint first. So he's keen on that. He's here for that. So what he says is, where do I put the pots? He's trying to help his mom.
And she says, right here. The mint will get sunlight in the morning, but shade in the afternoon. So just like we said before, that partial shade. And sunlight, just as it suggests, is light from the sun. We can also say moonlight, which would mean light from the moon.
Right. Yeah. Or, is there something like snow light? I don't think so, though. Nah, there's only those two, sun and moon, sunlight, moonlight. It's all good. So we go on with the article, and Lisa says, now it's time to plant the seeds. Yeah, right. That's an important part of gardening.
Exactly. If you want it to grow, you have to plant them. So Zach says, here's the trowel. And a trowel is a tool that's used for gardening or for digging things. And it's usually made of metal, but maybe sometimes plastic or even wood. And it has the shape of a triangle or maybe a diamond. So we use this to like break up the dirt if the dirt is kind of stuck together and very tough. Or maybe we want to make the hole so that we can put the seeds inside. That way our hands will not get as dirty.
Okay, and I know there's a couple of other gardening tools which are very important, like a shovel.
Yep.
Yeah, and what's a shovel for?
Bigger holes.
Bigger holes, yeah.
Trowels, like, little seeds, but maybe if you have a tree already, you need a bigger hole. You need to dig out a lot of dirt.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then there's a hoe, which is, I think, for evening the dirt out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So if you want to make the dirt all flat again, you use this thing
Just
called
drag
the
it
toe,
across.
and yeah, you drag it out. Yeah. So there's a bunch of different tools you can use in gardening. That's just a few of them. But a trowel is what they're using today, so they're using a very small one. Okay, so Lisa says, okay, make a little hole in the earth in each pot. Yeah.
Then she goes on to say, we only need to put a couple of seeds in each one. So she's saying that they don't need to put too many seeds in that one spot because, as the clerk told her before, the roots like to spread out. So a couple of, we use that when we want to say that maybe we should have two or very few of something.
So, yeah, they're putting a couple of seeds in each one after digging out the holes with a trowel. And Zach, it sounds like he's actually doing it, and he asks his mom if it's right. So he says, like this?
And she responds, that's perfect. Then he says, how often will we need to cut the leaves off?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so I mean, of course, if you're growing something like mint, it's going to grow leaves, and those are what you will use to make the things like tea, salad, ice cream. You're not going to use the rest of the plant. The leaves are where all the flavor is. So what Lisa says is we should harvest the leaves often. Okay, so it sounds like they might grow kind of fast. Yeah, so harvest, this verb means to pick or cut or pull up, or otherwise, find some way to gather crops, which include things like vegetables and fruit and also spices. So whenever those things grow and they are growing to a point where they're ready to eat, they're ready to sell or use in some way, that's when you should harvest them. So it sounds like mint can grow very fast to this point, and that means it should be harvested pretty often. But for most crops, harvest time is about once a year. Yeah, definitely. So an example sentence of the word harvest might be, it's almost time for us to harvest the cherries from the trees and sell them at the market.
And she goes on to say, harvesting actually helps mint grow. So like with other plants, if you take some of it off, this will give the plant more energy to focus in different areas. And it's also advised to cut off flowers from some plants because maybe it takes too much energy for those flowers to grow. So if you cut that off, then the plant has more energy to go to other parts.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah, the more you know.
So in that sentence, we have the adverb actually. We use this adverb when we want others to know that something is true because maybe others thought that this thing is not true. So if you're like talking to someone and you're just talking on, and then they say, actually, something, 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 they want to let you know that what you said is not necessarily correct and what they're telling you now is true. So an example sentence, the singer actually doesn't like it when people take pictures of her. So being someone who is in front of others, you're like, oh, she wants pictures. But, surprise, this is something that she does not like.
Oh, I see. So sounds like people thought that she does, but she actually doesn't. But in this case, Zach, maybe he just didn't know that, mint would be helped by harvesting it. So she's kind of telling him a new fact?
Yep.
Would that be right? Okay. Well, that's a really good thing to know, especially if you want to give your plants more energy to grow. You should definitely make sure that you're harvesting in time. And then Lisa goes on to say something else that's kind of in the same way. She says, we should also prune it if we see flower buds developing. So pruning is another thing you do to plants where you cut off certain parts that are not really needed or will take too much energy to grow and that you're not going to use. Or, for example, if you have a tree that's very big and it's getting older and its branches are going more and more out, maybe they're growing in front of street signs or they just don't look that good because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Then you should prune the branches, take off the ones that are sticking too far out or in front of things that are important, and that also helps the plant look better too. And it's not an unhealthy thing. So what are we pruning here though? It's flower buds. So a bud is a noun that means something like a new flower. It's a brand new flower. It hasn't opened yet. It's still pretty small and it's not quite ready. I think they're usually still green when they're in the bud stage. Yeah. And this also turns into the verb to bud, like a budding tree. Like if you see a tree that is budding, it's got like these little tiny green things all over it. It's the beginning of spring. Those are going to turn into flowers. They're going to grow more leaves, that sort of thing. But buds are like baby flowers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right. It also talks about people who are becoming something great, but they're not quite there yet. Yeah, as opposed to somebody who is bloomed.
Right.
So blooming is when the flowers or the people are completely ready. They're like all grown up. They're ready to show their beauty. And an example sentence for bud might be, there are tiny buds on the trees now. That means that spring is coming soon. Yeah, that's like I said, when there are little buds on the trees, it means that spring is on its way.
So something that's fully bloomed would be fully developed. And that's the next word we have, which is develop, which is a verb. And this means something is starting to form or starting to grow or even becoming more than what it was before. So with the flower buds developing, that means that they're starting to grow in place on the plant and now we can see it, whereas before we did not see that.
Yeah.
So an example sentence, the tadpoles, which are baby frogs, will develop legs after 2 weeks. So normally when frogs are first born, they just have a head and a tail. But after 2 weeks, the legs will begin to form or grow, whereas before, we didn't see that.
Right. Wow, they grow pretty fast then.
They do. Some of them, but then some can take months. It depends on the type.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, every animal's different. And of course, humans take, 18 yeyears? 18 years to completely grow up. We take a long time compared to most.
Yeah. And so now Zach says, wow, Mom, you really have a green thumb. And with that, that takes us to our pocket phrase go. Let's check that out.
Pocket phrase go!
阿拉丁，我现在可是个衣食无缺的王子喽。但是呢，我每次在吃饭的时候，都会想到我儿时穷苦的日子。哎呀，那时呢还要帮忙种菜，老板呢总是说我怎么样啊 ？You have a green thumb， 你可真有绿手指呢。中文说的绿手指指的是那些擅长园艺、很会照顾花花草草的人。英文里面也一样，但是呢不是说手指了，而是说呢 green thumb， 绿拇指哦。下次呢，看到很擅长园艺的人，也赶快跟他说 "You have a green thumb"， 你可真是绿手指呢。
All right, we are back here and we are back just for the last line of our article. So they've gone through all of the things they need to do to take care of these mint plants. They're going to harvest the leaves, they're going to prune them, they're making sure that they get enough sunlight, enough water, all of that sort of things. So then they plant the mint seeds in the other pots. And that means that, well, you just got to wait and see.
Right?
Yeah, have to wait and see.
It's just playing the waiting game.
Exactly.
So hopefully if Lisa actually has a green thumb, meaning she can help plants grow well, then they'll have some spearmint soon.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that means it is time for us to go to our For You chat, and we will see you there.
For You chat.
All right, so now we're back with our For You chat question. So, Kat, do you like the taste of mint? Yes or no?
Yes, I do. I think I made that pretty clear.
Just wanted to make sure. So, what type of mint-flavored foods or drinks? I know you mentioned mint tea, which is delicious. So, what other type of mint-flavored things do you like?
I would say anything with mint, really. I mean, I think it goes well with just about any sort of dish. It could go with, like, really kind of savory things. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my family used to make lamb for Christmas with mint jelly.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. I don't eat meat anymore, but...
Neither do I.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so, but that's a flavor I really remember enjoying. And I like... Well, I like to chew gum a little more often than I should.
Yeah.
But that's a minty thing that I do like.
What about mojitos?
Yes. Yes, mojitos are great. And for those of you who don't know what a mojito is, it's an alcoholic drink where you use rum and mint and is it lime? I think it has some lime in it. Yeah. It's pretty delicious, but you got to wait until you're grown up to drink it, okay?
Exactly. Or you can just use club soda.
Yeah.
Sparkling water.
That's right.
Just mix it all together.
Yeah.
Still be refreshing because of the mint.
And that's called a virgin mojito.
Yeah.
So you should try one of those. Ask your mom, hey, can we make virgin mojitos tonight? And you get the mint leaves directly in there. You tear them up and you just mix it into the drink with some ice, and it's very refreshing.
Yes. So for this hot summer that's coming up, I definitely recommend to do that.
Yeah, so that's a few different ideas that we've got for you. I think we're just about out of time now. So I think we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye, and we will see you next time. Think about starting your own garden, and maybe you can try out planting some mints with the tips that you heard in this article. Maybe you'll get some delicious mojitos, mint tea, mint ice cream, all sorts of things you can make with mint. So till next time, enjoy having a green thumb. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Making the garden minty fresh. Lisa is at home, preparing to plant the mint.
Zach, can you help me with these pots?
Sure, but what are they for?
We're going to grow mint. I can use it to make tea and salads. It goes well with all sorts of dishes.
How about mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Well, if you help me, I'll think about it.
Where do I put the pots?
Right here. The mint will get sunlight in the morning, but shade in the afternoon. Now it's time to plant the seeds.
Here's the trowel.
Okay. Make a little hole in the earth in each pot. We only need to put a couple of seeds in each one.
Like this?
That's perfect.
How often will we need to cut the leaves off?
We should harvest the leaves often. Harvesting actually helps mint grow. We should also prune it if we see flower buds developing.
Wow, Mom, you really have a green thumb.
They plant the mint seeds in the other pots.
Vocabulary Review.
Sort. We have all sorts of books at our store, from love stories to mysteries. Chip. You'll need peanut butter chips, flour, eggs, and sugar to make these cookies. Harvest. The farmer hires extra workers to help him harvest all of his crops at the end of summer. Actually. I thought the weather would be rainy today, but it's actually warm and sunny. Bud. Kenny observes the buds on the plant every day and waits for them to turn into beautiful roses. Develop. After 20 days, the caterpillar developed into a beautiful butterfly.
智慧小补帖
Sunlight. Prune.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net